When people hear demons, they think horror movie, possession, or something evil to cast out or run from. But the truth is, demons carry wisdom. They show up in myths and dreams and ancestral wisdom, not just to terrify us, but to show us what we're ignoring. And when you learn to face them with reverence instead of fear, they're not monsters, they're messengers. They're part of what we call shadow work. I'm sure you've heard that term before. The practice of exploring parts of ourselves that we've been taught to hide, fear, or shame. Hi boo, it's me, your medium bestie, the Death Fairy, certified death dealer, and your spirit guide to the other side. Ding! Today we're going to unravel the demon archetype and why it might be the key to unlocking parts of yourself that you were taught to fear. Because shadow work isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally listening to what's been buried beneath the surface. Let's get real. When you hear the word demon, you probably think The Exorcist, Linda Blair throwing up green pea soup, maybe horns, a crucifix upside down, or some sort of statue that has been found and or maybe evil laughter and talking in Latin. But that image, that's marketing. That's Hollywood. That's all fear-based religion. And it's doing what it does best, keeping you scared and disconnected from your own power. Most people don't realize that this imagery is rooted in centuries of cultural misunderstanding, colonization, and trauma repression. When you stop at evil, you miss the archetype. You miss the invitation, you miss the mirror. What if the demons you've been taught to fear were actually the guardians of your truth? And what if the fear they bring up is exactly the kind of fear that shadow work is meant to meet, with honesty and compassion? In archetypal work, whether in dreams, in tarot, or in mythology, a demon isn't an evil being, it's an energy. It's the shadow, it's the rage you've repressed. It's the truth you were punished for. It's the ancestor no one talked about. In spiritual psychology and shadow work, demons show up at the threshold of transformation as boundary protectors, or to show us what we fear most because that's where the gold is. Demons aren't destroyers, they're disruptors. And a disruption is the beginning of your healing, aka the true shadow work. You're facing the shadow. Don't get me wrong, I didn't always see it this way. Growing up, the word demon would terrify me. Because I was raised Catholic, I associated it with evil, punishment, and hell. All I could think was my mom warning me, don't watch that. Don't listen to that. Don't use the Ouija board. They're evil, evil, evil. You'll get possessed. But something shifted when I started doing deep energy work, ancestral healing, and mediumship, talking to dead people. I had clients whose hauntings were actually repressed rage, whose attachments were generational trauma screaming to be witnessed. I began to see those demonic energies not as threats, but as symptoms of something unspoken. The moment I stopped treating everything scary as evil was the moment I became powerful. What if facing that demon was the most sacred act of your healing? There's a really beautiful story of the goddess Inana, Mesopotamian goddess of heaven and earth. She has to travel to the underworld to meet her sister Ereshkigal, and when she meets her, her sister kills her, hangs her upside down, and there she is facing death. But she comes out of this transformed into an enlightened being, even more so. And I always think of that story as a true shadow work journey. What if we are like Inana, going to our own underworld, facing those 7 gates of hell, each time removing something we don't need, facing that ultimate shadow, that death, right? Hanging upside down, and then coming out of it with new wisdom, with new insight, because we meditated on what we have been facing, our own inner demon. I always see shadow work like this, and it's such a beautiful way to really think about what it must be like to actually face our own inner demon. If you've been told to fear your anger, if you've been told to feel ashamed of your body, your intuition, or your rage, you're not alone. So many of us were taught that anything intense, loud, or emotional was too much. It was too dangerous. But what if those were just parts of you that never got the chance to speak and was just repressed over and over and over again? That demon archetype shows up when something inside of you is ready to stop being ignored. It's not here to scare you. It's here to say, hey, look at me. I have been carrying something you need to feel. Here's how you can work with your own demon archetype. Approach it as a symbol, not a being. Just like a tarot card or in a dream, it speaks in a metaphor. Ask it what it's protecting. Shadow work often forms around deep inner wounds. And don't invite the chaos, invite the clarity. Try to listen. What does it want to tell you? Ask, what do I need to know right now to understand you? Think of it as like that child. If you get angry at the child will either get angry back or break down and start crying. But what if that child just wants attention? That's how I like to see this shadow work or this demon archetype. Give it the attention. Just say, I see you. I see that you're upset. I see that you're crying. I see that you need something. Listen. How can you help? The demon isn't a curse. It's just a coded message from your soul. If this stirred something inside of you, come join me inside my free community, Spirit Connection Made Easy, because it is easy. I have a 7-day Spirit Connection challenge that you can do, and in just 7 days, or less honestly, you can connect to your spirit guides, know their names, find out what messages they give you, and actually use what I use every time to connect to spirit. Inside this community, we go deeper into archetypes, ancestral healing, talk about shadow work, and spiritual strength. What fear have you been taught to avoid but are now curious to explore? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your insight. And if you want to learn more about spirit connection and how easy it can be, subscribe. Spirit is calling. Are you ready to answer? Ding!